The galaxy was quiet, or at least it seemed quiet to those who hadn't ventured far from the core worlds. Humans had always been late to the interstellar party, content with sending probes and exploratory teams into the uncharted reaches of space. But Captain Elias Kane wasn't content. For years, he'd felt a pull toward the outer systems, toward the unknown. That pull, he would later realize, was more than curiosity. It was destiny. Elias adjusted the controls of his ship, the Starwood, as it glided through the glittering expanse of the Tyrion cluster. His crew had grown used to his restless energy, the way his green eyes sparkled with excitement at every anomaly, every flicker of strange radiation. Yet today was different. Today, something or someone was waiting for him. The signal had been faint, almost imperceptible, a repeating sequence of harmonic pulses originating from a planet deep within the uncharted Orpheus System. The kind of pattern no natural phenomenon could create. Intrigued, Elias had ordered the course set, ignoring the protests of his first officer, Mara Lynn. "You really think it's what, Elias?" she asked, arms crossed. "An intelligent civilization? Maybe hostile?" "Possibly," Elias replied, voice calm but eyes alight. "Or possibly something extraordinary. Either way, I intend to see it with my own eyes." The planet came into view like a jewel against the black velvet of space, a swirl of iridescent oceans, crystalline forests, and floating land masses that defied every law of gravity Elias had learned. He felt the first tingle of the pull he couldn't explain, a magnetic sensation that centered in his chest. His pulse quickened. When the Starwood breached the upper atmosphere, Elias noticed the city, a vast crystalline sprawl that shimmered with color and light. No structure seemed entirely solid. They floated, oscillated, almost breathed. And at the very center of the city, atop a throne that glowed with a faint golden aura, stood a figure so radiant it stole the air from his lungs. Her eyes were an impossible shade of violet, deep and infinite, and they were fixed directly on him. Her hair floated around her like liquid silver, and her presence, regal, commanding, yet strangely intimate, made every rational thought vanish from his mind. He had never believed in love at first sight. Now he had no choice. The ship landed softly on the floating platform before the palace. Elias disembarked, the crew close behind, though they were no match for the awe he felt. Every step he took seemed predestined, guided by an invisible force. The figure moved toward him, her every motion fluid, hypnotic. "I was waiting for you," she said, her voice like music and thunder at the same time. "I knew you would come." Elias froze. "You knew me? I knew your face before your parents even named you. I knew your heartbeat before you took your first breath. And I knew that the moment you arrived in my system, you would be the one." It was impossible, and yet every instinct in Elias screamed the truth. This was not coincidence. This was fate. The alien queen, Syralith, stepped closer, and he could feel the pulse of energy emanating from her, something both terrifying and intoxicating. "Why me?" he whispered, unsure if he wanted the answer. "Because you are human," she said simply, "and you are unafraid. You will not kneel. You will not obey blindly. That is why I chose you." The queen led them into the palace, a labyrinth of corridors and halls that seemed alive, reacting to their presence. The walls pulsed with color as if the building itself was breathing. Every corner, every doorway, seemed to shimmer with potential and danger alike. As they walked, the crew murmured among themselves, uneasy. Aliens of this magnitude were legends, stories told in hushed tones across human colonies. But Elias felt no fear, only the strange, undeniable sense that he belonged here, with her. Syralith stopped before a chamber that radiated warmth. Inside, a map of the galaxy floated in midair, glowing softly. Stars pulsed where ships had traveled, trails marking centuries of movement. One star, near the Orpheus System, burned brighter than the rest. "That is your world," she said. "And it is not the first to call to me, but you are different. You are the first human I cannot ignore." Elias swallowed hard. "I don't even know what that means." She smiled, a slow, deliberate expression that made him ache in ways he could not name. "You will," she whispered, and her hand brushed his. The contact sent a jolt through his body, unlike any electrical charge he had ever felt. His mind flooded with images, memories that weren't his, visions of distant worlds, battles fought, victories won and lost, all tied inexplicably to him. You're showing me things," he stammered. "I am letting you see," she corrected. "I have watched you, Elias Kane. I have watched humanity, and I have waited for the one who could step into this world without fear. You are that one." Hours passed, or maybe days. Time became meaningless in her presence. Elias found himself sharing stories he had never told anyone, feeling understood in ways he had never imagined. He realized then that the pull he had felt was not just curiosity, it was the gravitational tug of two destinies colliding. But not all was as serene as it seemed. Syralith's advisors, beings of immense psychic power, regarded him with suspicion. One, a tall figure with crystalline limbs, stepped forward. "Your Highness, a human cannot be allowed into the inner sanctum. They lack the control, the knowledge." Syralith raised a hand, violet light flickering from her fingertips. "And yet he is here. And yet I have chosen him. Do not test my judgment." The advisor bowed reluctantly, though his eyes burned with unspoken defiance. Elias could feel the tension, could sense the latent danger surrounding him. But he didn't step back. He couldn't. Not from her. Not from the destiny that had already been written. Days became nights. Nights became visions of stars and fire, of battles waged across the galaxy, of love and loss intertwined. And then came the test. The Queen led Elias to a chamber suspended above the planet's core, where energy currents swirled like molten glass. "If you are to stay here, you must survive the trial of bonding," she said. "It will test your heart, your mind, your very soul. Few have endured it. Many have tried and failed." Elias swallowed. "And what if I fail?" "You do not fail," she said, her eyes locking onto his. "Because even the attempt proves you are unlike any other." The trial was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Waves of energy tore at him, visions of fear, doubt, and pain rushing forward. He saw his own death, the destruction of his ship, the loss of everything he held dear. But in each vision, Syralith's presence remained, guiding, steady, unwavering. When it seemed he could endure no more, the energy stopped. Silence fell, deafening in its intensity. Elias opened his eyes. Syralith was smiling. "You have passed," she said softly. "Not because you are perfect, but because you are human. And you chose to face the unknown, with trust, with courage. That is rarer than any power in the universe." Elias fell to his knees, exhausted, exhilarated, terrified. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," she whispered, lowering herself to his level. "I only needed you to know that I see you, that I have always seen you, that I'll love you." The words hit him like a supernova. Love. From the queen of an alien world. From someone who had known him before he even existed. And somehow, impossibly, he felt the same. I love you too," he whispered, voice raw. Syralith smiled, lifting him effortlessly to his feet. Then there is nothing more to prove. You belong here with me, and together we will shape a future the galaxy has never seen. The following weeks were a whirlwind of preparation and celebration. Elias learned to navigate the palace, to understand the alien technologies that defied physics, to interact with beings of power beyond imagination. And through it all, Syralith remained at his side, guiding, teaching, loving. Yet even amidst the wonder, there were dangers. Other species had noticed the human in her court. Some saw him as a threat, others as a prize to claim. Battles erupted across the outer systems, skirmishes that tested not only their strength, but their bond. Every victory strengthened Elias. Every challenge solidified the connection he shared with the Queen. And then came the culmination. The final battle, in orbit above Orpheus Prime, where rival fleets converged to claim or destroy the Queen and her human. Elias stood on the bridge of Syralith's flagship, hand in hers, as waves of energy and fire clashed around them. "I trust you," he said, voice steady. "I know," she replied. "And I trust you. Always." With a synchronized wave of power, they unleashed a force that radiated through space, a dazzling spectacle of energy, light, and raw emotion. The enemy fleets faltered, then retreated, unable to withstand the bond between human and Queen. When the dust settled, Elias and Syralith floated together, surrounded by the remnants of shattered ships, the stars themselves seeming to celebrate their victory. "Did you ever doubt this moment?" Elias asked, laughing softly. "Never," she said, "because I always knew. Love at first sight, and I had been waiting my entire existence for you." Elias smiled, pulling her close. "Then I guess the universe really does have a sense of humor." Syralith's laugh was like music. "Or a sense of destiny," she corrected, pressing her forehead to his. And as they stood together, human and Queen, the galaxy stretched infinitely before them, full of danger, adventure, and love that neither time nor space could diminish. For some, love at first sight was a fleeting moment. For Elias Kane, it was the beginning of everything.